Hello everybody, welcome to another YouTube video. I am Robelle Autonomy, and today we're here to talk about another Zenless 0 drip marketing. Alright, looks like we have something pretty cool. They dropped another character. Yesterday they dropped Lucia and Komono Manato. But here we have another SPOOKSHACK member. Let's take a closer look. First, we'll take a look at the full drip marketing. Do not play. Oh, I already heard a different voice. Okay, let's take a look over here. Make sure it's full quality.
I didn't keep you waiting too long, did I? Yidhari. Call my name when you need me.
Okay. Alright, well, we're gonna have to play that again. First thing, alright, this is definitely a very attractive character.
I didn't keep.
She has the classic gotcha pose of the boobs and the butt in the screen, just up front and center. I have no idea how her spine is doing that, but gotcha characters are built different.
Too long.
Her voice sounds really good. It's very, like, it draws you in.
Did I?
And another thing I noticed, when it goes dark, her eyes change color. So right now they're pink and yellow, very striking color combo. Alright, her entire design is very laid back, desaturated with most of the colors, but her eyes are super piercing.
Did I?
And then when it goes to nighttime, her eyes turn blue. Blue and yellow, so the pink gets replaced.
Yidhari.
Very interesting. So we have Yidhari, member of the SPOOKSHACK, and it looks like she is an octopus Thyran. Alright, finally another Thyran that is more sea-based. It's an octopus, and then as you can see, all of her tentacles are coming out of the one spot where Thyran tails tend to come out of, the tailbone. And you matches up with all of the clothing in Zenless 0, where most of them do have a little cutout for a tail at that exact spot. If you want to see, just go into the overworld, look at any single NPC, and they're gonna have a little diamond or a little cutout for the tails. It has like a flap of fabric that covers it up, so everyone isn't just have a hole at their butt. There's a little thing there that covers it up, but you can tell that all the clothes are made with Thyrans in mind. Very inclusive, very cool world detail. And if you take a look here, this full screen art goes crazy. The inverted, like, dark version of the image. And as you can see, ice rupture. So it is pretty surprising. We're getting yet another ice DPS unit. Or maybe she's not a DPS. I assume she's a DPS. We don't really have a full feeling for how the rupture class works yet. Alright, Hoyoverse did describe it as characters with high survivability that tend to scale off of HP, I presume. At least the one main rupture set we have currently is HP scaling, so we'll have to wait and see. So now we have 3 rupture units, being Yishuan, Komono Manato, and Yidhari. She's definitely really cool. You can totally tell she has some of that Cthulhu, like, creature design. Keeps her very spooky. And also, if you think about it, alright, this is version 2.3. This is releasing in October, which means these are Halloween units that actually match up with Spooky Month. Which, because normally these games, they don't typically do that because, well, they're made in CN, and I don't know if they have the same, like, celebrations as, you know, other parts of the world, but it's pretty cool that it's actually lining up for Spooky Month. Alright, let's see what this says here. Got some spooky tales that I need your help with. I don't know how to conclude the stories. So it looks like she is another story writer. Much like Lucia from the other day. There's more over here. Keep an eye out for my call. Alright, that's it. Okay, well, I guess that's all for her. For her drip marketing, at least. Let's take a closer look at the full art. so here are Spook Shack, Tales of 100 Demons. Endless mysteries await. Welcome to the Spook Shack. So it looks like Yidhari over here is the only other Spook Shack member besides Yuzuha who's able to say the entire thing. Because I think Alice, she's like, can I really join this organization? She says something like that in her drip marketing. And then Minato is like, I forgot my line. So seeing Yidhari over here, honestly, her outfit, it's really high up. You can literally see the bottom of her butt cheek. I don't want to focus too much on the fan service, but I am going to point it out every single time I see it. Just because, that's kind of the flavor of most of the Zenless Zero characters, right? They don't really shy away from the fact that their game does have a lot of that more adult appeal, but it is still aimed at a very wide audience. Now, I do think that her hair is really interesting. So it's clearly a bob cut, but it has some curls in it, and she has black highlights, which really does make her hair stick out. As I said before, a lot of her design is pretty desaturated. It's not super bright and blaring purple. It's black, white, and purple with gold accenting. Or yellow accenting, actually. Not really gold. It's yellow with little stripes in it. That's really, really nice. And so her entire design, it kind of doesn't stick out too much in terms of bright colors. But that's on purpose because her eyes are super duper saturated. They draw you in. I think her design is honestly, it's a little plain, but I can see the appeal here. It's very mysterious. I'm really excited to see what this character has to bring. So let's take a look over here at her agent record. Alright, so here she is, member of the Spook Shack. Alright, I wish stories never end, then I'd have the courage to keep turning pages forever. Alright, Ukinami Yuzuha says, nothing new under the sun, huh? Why don't you try asking her about it? I'm not entirely sure if Yuzuha is talking about Yidhari, or if she's talking to Yidhari. We'll see what Lucia has to say. Don't let her slow talking fool you. When she's typing, she's lightning fast. She can keep 3 different conversations in the same group chat going at full steam all at once. Then, okay, that sounds kind of like me. Anyway, definitely interesting. So we have 2 story writers. It's Lucia and Yidhari, excuse me. I got her name messed up already. Komono Minato, while sharing spooky stories late one night, she suddenly said, I saw your childhood self in the hollow. No joke, that was the first time a ghost story made me break out into a cold sweat. Okay, so of course, the Spook Shack is an online forum dedicated to the supernatural. And it makes sense that it would attract writers that like to write more horror-esque stories. So it brought in Lucia, and it brought in Yidhari. I do wonder how they differ in their writing styles and how they differ as characters, because having 2 characters that are specifically writers is interesting. Especially having them released in the same patch. Right, a person staring at the horizon, unbothered by the fishy scent carried in by the sea breeze. Every ship's keel is engraved with the path home, and the blood-stained end will ultimately crash upon the shore of departure. I have no idea who this is talking about, but very dramatic. Maybe this is referring to Yidhari herself. Maybe this is her talking in her very specific writing style. Very, very interesting. Alright, let's see here. This is the last bit we have from her. That's in the official tweet. A story is the author's romantic corruption of reality. Whether it's cold, hard facts, or a wildly imaginative fairy tale, the distance from truth doesn't determine if a story is good or bad. Don't worry about the out-of-place feeling. It will fade away as the story unfolds. Just dive into my narrative without any worries. And I feel like that is also a statement from the ZZZ devs. Don't worry about the pacing. Don't worry if you feel out of place. Don't worry about how things settle in this world, because in the end, the more time you spend in this world, the more you'll be able to dive into that narrative and get lost in what they have written. And I feel like that's true. I really feel like I've been immersed in the world of Zenless Zero, and so far, like, there's definitely little hiccups here or there that may kind of stick out. They feel out of place. Anyway, looking at this again, I'm just gonna mention, because I didn't mention it before, she is animated, so clearly she's in S rank. She is the second half unit, alright, being revealed second. And her being an ice rupture. I mean, I said she's probably a DPS. I feel like that's gotta be the case, right? Like, Komono is releasing with Lucia, and then clearly Lucia, I said she's an S-rank support that's probably aimed at buffing Rupture, and I feel like because Yidhari is also a Rupture unit, they're probably a premium team together, being Lucia buffing up Yidhari. And so it makes sense that she would be like an on-field DPS. I mean, Yishuan is an on-field DPS. Now, I do wonder how she's gonna play. Obviously, she does have that big hammer. I mean, I assume it's a hammer. It says Kraken on it, that's pretty cool. But definitely, she's got this cool hammer. Definitely, we've seen a lot of the Zenless Zone Zero characters take a lot of inspiration from Monster Hunter. For example, Seth Lowell is very clearly inspired by the Charge Blade. Alright, he has a baton and a riot shield, and they connect together to form a greatsword. Or not even really a greatsword, more like a gigantic club, but the way they combine, very reminiscent of Monster Hunter's Charge Blade. Now, of course they don't play exactly the same, but there's definitely inspiration there. And then you look at Caesar, right, Caesar King, she most definitely is inspired by the sword and shield. Alright, a very clear, basic combo for her gameplay, but it has that built-in parry. Alright, her ability to block attacks is there. Of course, doesn't play exactly like Sword and Shield from Monster Hunter, but the ZZ devs like to put their own spin on things, and so Caesar kinda has her own way of playing. Now, of course, I really like her because, well, I like her parry mechanic, but also Caesar has kind of the ability to, it's a little cope, I know, but I use her to clear endgame. She has the ability to be built as a main DPS and just stay on field because her buff benefits her herself. So I'm wondering how Yidhari is gonna play. I imagine because she has a hammer, her attacks are gonna be very, very weighty. Her being a Rupture character means she ignores defense. So there's gonna be that like sense of penetration, just hitting the enemy with raw power. Now, for Yishuan is an HP scaling character, and she's our only Rupture unit currently. And in the Rupture set that focuses on sheer damage is HP scaling. So I'm wondering if Yidhari is going to be HP scaling, along with Komono. But at the same time though, if you think about it, the Rupture units kind of have this dual scaling thing going on, where they convert their attack into sheer. So at the same time, attack percent is pretty valuable to them. But also, Yishuan has a passive that converts HP into sheer. So I do wonder if Yidhari and Komono are going to have that same passive, or at least something similar, where they scale off of HP, or maybe they scale off of something different, like let's say defense. I kind of hope we don't get defense scaling units, just cause it's kind of like a lot of the enemies hit really hard, and then so a lot of the fun is the fact that they can one-shot you. At least for some of the end games. So if they take away that, fear of being one-shot by making characters that scale off of defense and then now they don't really take damage. Especially now that we do have healers in the game, although their heals are linked to their ultimate. So you can't heal on command, which I'm glad the devs kept it that way. I was a little worried when they introduced healers, but clearly they've shown they can cook. But yeah, Yidhari, maybe she's HP scaling, or maybe she's attack scaling. I feel like that could be interesting. Not her, probably. Alright, this is all speculation, having Monster Hunter inspiration. If you play Hammer in Monster Hunter, you know that the bread and butter of Hammer is you hold up the charge, you charge it, and then hit with a big slack on the monster, right? I'm wondering if they implement that into the game. I mean, if they do implement charging, you have to make it so that the character can move around. If she's gonna stand still while charging, then she's kind of a sitting duck. I mean, if she had to stand still while charging, then maybe defense scaling would make sense, but I don't think we're gonna go for a defense scaling unit just yet. I feel like we're a little bit early in the meta. I mean, Ben is kind of defense scaling, but not fully, so he's not really a defense scaling DPS unit. But yeah, maybe she kind of charges up her moves. That would be pretty cool. And then like you hit the enemy with like a big nuke hit, and then that does like a lot of damage because you're just going right through their defense. And then that would make sense from like a gameplay balance point, because if we're skipping the defense, then we have to wait to get that big hit in. But then if we miss, I would feel pretty bad though. I'm not sure how the ZZ devs are going to make hammer gameplay work, but I am a big fan of characters with gigantic weapons. Am I going to pull? I don't know. I really don't. Alright, it really fully completely depends. It completely depends if the characters going forward, like by the time this update comes out, we'll have the drip marketing for the next update after. And I'm trying to save for the Angels of Delusion. They've been teased all the way since before the game release, and somehow we've waited an entire year and they're not here yet. Which that's mind-blowing to me. We're really waiting like a year and a half for the Angels of Delusion. But also, I'm okay with waiting because the Obel Squad is what I'm really looking forward to. And they're the current patch that's upcoming. And so I have the Pole Seed and Orphe. I have enough for both of them, but I want an M6 Orphe because Orphe is probably my favorite design I've seen in ZZZ thus far. And so, if I have to pull Lucia and Yidhari, I'm cooked. That's too much back to back. And then on top of that, if the Angels of Delusion are the patch after, I'm cooked. And then there's even more characters that are in the teaser for... Like, if you watch the Season 2 teaser, there's more characters. There's this, like, bunny Thyren that's, like, really, really cute. And then there's also... There's that character at the very end with, like, the brown hair. They didn't show her face, but they showed her in the reflection, and we saw her back. And you just know that character is gonna be popular with how much they made that shot dramatic. And then there's also the last member of Yunqi's Summit. Yixuan, that's his name. His name is very similar to Yixuan, so it's pretty hard to get their names right. But Yixuan, the guy with he looks really plain, but the guy with the glasses... Alright, I feel like maybe he's an NPC, but I think he's gonna be playable. Especially with how much emphasis they put on him during the cutscenes in the story. I really feel like he looks kinda plain. So they're gonna make his animations insane. That's how it works in ZZZ, okay? If the character is plain looking, their animations are gonna look insane. And if the character looks insane, their animations are still gonna look insane. But even more so for the plain characters, because they have to like really pop off. For example, I know a lot of people think Miyabi is pretty basic looking, but everyone loves her because she's the strongest character in the game. Not just like meta-wise, but also in story, she's the strongest character we've met. And so I know a lot of people like her, but you have to admit her design is pretty plain. Plain isn't a bad thing though. Plain is a great thing. Alright, makes the character easy to draw, and they get more fan art, and their fan art like pops off more with the poses. So Yixuan, I feel like he looks plain. That one guy in Yunqi's Summit with the glasses, which means his animations are gonna go crazy. But we're not here to talk about him. I'm getting off track. We're here to talk about Yidhari. Alright, and Yidhari... I just see a girl with a gigantic weapon, and you know what that means. I'm a big fan of the big weapons, so... Hopefully her gameplay cooks. Is she a must-pull? We have a lot of ice DPSs in the game already. But I also feel like if you're a day 1 player, or you started pretty early in Zenless Zone Zero's lifespan, and even if you're free to play, you probably have a good collection of characters by now, unless you are sadly pretty unlucky and have lost most of your 50/50s. But I feel like lots of the long-running players have enough characters that they can clear all the endgame just fine. They probably have most of the types covered in terms of, like, content. So at this point, I feel like a lot of people are just pulling whoever they think is cool, whoever is fun, whoever is attractive, and I think that's kind of where I'm at. So I think for Yidhari, it really just depends what her gameplay is like. But I'm sure they'll cook, because like it's the hammer, guys. It's a giant... That weapon is huge! We don't have a character with a weapon that big yet, I don't think. No, Ben has this giant weird pillar thing. And yeah, I think that's the biggest weapon we have in the game. So this is not bigger than that, but the character is much smaller. So I really want to see those weighty hammer swings. And I'm excited, long story short. I'm excited to see what they cook. Even if I don't pull the character, I think she's a great addition to the cast. Anyway, I think I've yapped on long enough. This video is pretty darn long for what I'm making of it. I'm sorry if I got off tangent there, but you know what? If you enjoyed the video, then I'm glad I was able to waste some of your time. Alright, well, not waste, but use up some of the time that you've so graciously given me by watching this video. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to keep doing these. I mean, I love doing these. I love yapping about characters. And at the same time, though, I want to hear you guys yap about characters, alright? Are you excited for Yidhari? What do you think of her being the nice Rupture? Are you worried that there's too many ice DPS units in the game? Or does it not matter because at this point, you're just all about that gameplay, all about the character, all about her story. It doesn't matter about having too many DPSs. Or maybe she's power creeping people, who knows? But I doubt it. They've been pretty good with the balance. Even the A ranks in the game are pretty good. They're pretty darn good, so I think we're fine. Anyway, let me know down below, are you going to be pulling for Yidhari? Are you going to be pulling for anyone in 2.3? Like, now we know all of them. I hope, right? Don't you dare jip market another character. Alright, that was first half, this is second half. If another character shows up, then my mind will implode. Alright, just let me know down below what you think. And if you enjoyed the content, want to see more, then subscribe. Because, one, most of you aren't subscribed. I see the statistics, alright? Alright, even though my videos don't get too many views, most of the views that watch it aren't subscribed. Which means you subscribers need to start putting in work. Give me views. I'm just kidding, it's fine. Alright, watch if you enjoyed it, click off if you didn't. Dislike if you didn't like the video. I'm cool with whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Alright, hope you all had a good one. Remember, Intenotion I so I will see you all next time. Bye!